Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App, make sure you contribute to the PayPal, make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. Thanks.
We're the same people that came from the bottom up out of slavery to build all these cities around this country. We are the ones who set the trends in this world. And this is what we've come to. And the question that I have for you is, why? But moreover, it's the thing that gives me hope about what we can, because I've seen what we were in my lifetime. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to Kimberly, Dr. Turner, Demetria Merriman. Ladies, thank you so much for coming tonight.
We are giving criminals too many passes, I think, in the United States when it comes to us just taking simple verbal commands. All she had to do was go out of attack mode. But once again, nowadays you have young ladies and older women who behave like men. So she's thinking that she's just going to come out welding and doing everything she needs to do and it's going to be okay. So then she can go back and brag to her friends, look what she did, X, Y, and Z on social media. I think it have a lot to do with social media, poor parenting, and poor understanding. And
you know, that's pretty harsh. I ain't say it. You know, I wouldn't even go that far at this point, but you said it. You know, the question that I have for you is, what would have happened, or what would, because everybody else is saying, oh no, the cop did wrong. What do you think would have happened if instead of Makai, it was Lil Mikey, and Lil Mikey was trying to stab a black girl? What would the response be from the community?
Dramatization.
After a car wreck, you may have to fight with a highly trained insurance company rep whose job is to knock your damaged claim down and out. It's a bad idea to enter the ring alone against a trained boxer, and it could be a bad idea to fight against a big insurance company by yourself. When the bell rings, attorney Dennis Sperling will be there to fight for your right. If you're seriously injured in a car wreck, call me, attorney Dennis Sperling, at 866-529-2444. That's 866-529-2444.
And that's it, and that's that. I don't care if you don't like me. See, I'm very passionate about this because we are essential in the problems of the breakdown of our community, the women, but yet we want to boast about how we're these boss, and please excuse my language, how we're these boss bitches who are running things. We're not running anything. We are not equipped to do that.
mm-hmm.
Step back, be quiet, and stop effeminating these little men. Stop calling our sons mommy's little man,
Mm-hmm.
and get out of the way. And then when you get 50, my age, 51, 52, you're alone. You're alone because of what you did in the past.
Yeah.
You should have never invited me to this show today, Bennett.
No, you good. I want to hear you. You know, I know the people in the audience like he ain't interrupting them at all. He letting them speak. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm not. I mean, it's one thing for me to say things. It's another thing for Black women to address other Black women. You all need a voice.
I am very, very, very upset that we as women, and especially in Gen X, do not take accountability for what we have done.
What are your thoughts? What's your first impression of this whole situation, Doctor?
My first impression of the entire situation is the same battle group that we tend to run against, the Bonnet Betties and the battling BWs of the world. Because I think this is where the majority of the comments are coming from, a collection of women who, once again, do not want to be told, you know, our shortcomings. And I've talked about that before. I think the way we dress in public, the way we speak as ladies is despicable. You know, I think the way we present ourselves is despicable. And then we have the same nerve to, in the same breath, to say we want respect from people.
Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App. Make sure you contribute to the PayPal. Make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. Thanks.
If you're in this type of community that she describes with savage behavior and you get out, is that a generation lost? And we want to make it clear, we're not talking about all Black people. We're just talking about these people who acted an ass on the video. Are we talking about a generation lost, Dennis?
Isaiah, I hate to say it, but unfortunately, yes, there's nothing you can do about it. Now, I hate, it hurts my heart to say that, but, you know, when we have a lot of our Black American women who say Black men don't protect us, this is why. This is why we don't protect you. This is because we could lose our lives trying to protect you, especially when you're wrong. See, a lot of Black women, they don't want men to protect them. They want men to come in and be their retaliation force. This is what happens. 2 Black men are going to lose their lives. The man that allegedly shot him and the man that already is dead. That one is probably going to get 100 years to life, 100 years, and the other one is going to get the death penalty. So we have a toxic culture in the Black community that needs to be flushed out. That's the problem. And it doesn't matter how much police work we do, how many legislative bills we come up with, until we begin to correct ourselves as people, we're still going to go down this just be the toilet of society.
The only thing I ask you guys to do is know what your options are. That's it. I just want you to know that you have options. The other thing is, I try to explain to you guys is that you should travel. What do I mean by travel? What I mean is you should leave the United States. I don't mean just going from Alabama to Georgia for spring break. What I mean is you should travel. You should go overseas. You should see what it's like living in other places, even if it's just for a week visit. And when you go places like Brazil, when you go places like the Dominican Republic, when you go places, I'm sure Africa is the same way, what you'll experience is the way Black men are treated, the way you're embraced.
And, one lives with that, man. So, yeah, if anything I can say, man, is that the South keeps you sober as a Black man. It keeps you from running away with kind of, utopian, fantastical ideas about the world. Yeah.
Explain to them what it's like as a Black man. When you say sobering, you walk into a store, you walk into a party, a club. Is this even heard of? You walk into an all-white club, you're the only Black man there, and do you just immediately start flirting with white women? It's not good. Well, before you.
But there's still whites in this society, white men and women who are very resistant to Black men. You know what I mean? And those type of interactions, bro. And they feel some kind of way about it.
To have conversations with people and to basically let people know the issues that Black men face and what we're going through, and to hear it directly from us, unfiltered, if you will. And so at this point, I think the most important thing for us to determine is whether or not the people who we want to hear us the most are actually listening. And despite what these brothers say, when I listen to them, and I'm talking about the thousands and thousands of conversations, exchanges I've had with Black men over the last 11 years, it is 11 years since 2009. A lot of them really just want to be heard, and they really want to be heard by Black women. They are not necessarily concerned about what other people think. They want their sisters, their mothers, their wives, and their girlfriends, their daughters to hear them.
My name is Dennis Frea. If you've been involved in an accident, call me and I'll fight for you. I'm not an actor or a celebrity spokesperson. I'm a real trial lawyer, and I've appeared before real judges and real juries on behalf of people with serious injuries. So when I say I'll fight for you, I mean it, and I'll back it up. If you've been hurt in an automobile or 18-wheeler accident, contact me toll free at 866-529-2444, and I'll fight for your rights.
Hi, my name is Dennis Berlin. I'm not a lawyer, but my daddy is. Yeah. If you've been hurt in a car accident, call my daddy. No need to scream and yell like a little kid. Yeah, no, my daddy will fight for your right. Yeah, fight for your right. If you've been involved in a car accident, call my daddy. Returning Dennis Berlin.
Hello, I'm attorney Dennis Sperling. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call me at 713-229-0770.
Call my daddy.
I know you can kind of relate a little bit, because they are women, but like talk to us, Judge, because the fellas want to know. The fellas need to know. We all need to know. Go ahead.
See, I can't relate to that at all because I think that both parents should take care of their kids, period. So when I come across a female that has to pay child support and she's been out of shape about it or something like that, as in terms of me representing them, and they're been out of shape about them, I'm very honest. If anybody in the chat knows me or anybody watching this, they could tell you. I tell her like it is. Look, you need to get over yourself. Because if the roles were reversed, he would have to pay and you wouldn't have an issue with it. At the end of the day, this is what the situation is. This child lives with him. You need to get over it. The interesting part about the show is that, the show, it's reenacting cases that have actually happened, but a lot of the things that you all are seeing with the reenactment are true feelings of how some of these people thought that Texas law worked. So when they get the response back from me based on Texas law, after it, they're like, man, I didn't know it went like that. Because in certain situations, if you're not going to do right by the child in all facets, that is in terms of their education, in terms of their health, in terms of the psychological needs when it comes to them spending time with their other parent, having a relationship with their other parent, because parental alienation is big too, right? Or turning a child against one parent, all of that kind of stuff. If you're not going to do right in all facets when it comes to the child, let that child go live with its other parent.
Dennis Berlin. I'm not a lawyer, but my daddy is. Yeah. If you've been hurt in a car accident, call my daddy. No need to scream and yell like a little kid. Yeah, no, my daddy will fight for your rights. Yeah, fight for your rights. If you've been involved in a car accident, call my daddy. Returning Dennis Berlin.
Hello, I'm attorney Dennis Sperling. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call me at 713-229-0770.
Call my daddy.
What's up, you guys? This is Dennis Sperling, and I am back again on a Sunday sermon. Hope everyone is having a great day. I want to talk to you guys. This is a continued conversation I want to have with you all. And I think it's very important that we continue these conversations. This page is designed for Black men, so the messages that I deliver to you on this Sunday basically is a Sabbath for most religions, is a special message. It's a message that's catered to you. And for the most part, it's always going to be a message of masculinity. In the meanwhile, I want to bring my son down here for a minute. We got some of you guys are aware, but I've been battling with some minor health issues, and so I want to just kind of give you guys an update on that. But big shout out to you and him. Let me see if I can get him down here real quick. Hold on 1 minute. I got my boy here. Hey, son, how you doing?
I'm good.
This is my oldest son, little Dennis. It's my boy. He's 14 years old. Just started high school. And he's also been taking jiu-jitsu for how long?
7 years.
7 years now. So he just got his yellow belt. They go from white belt to white belt to gray and white belt to gray belt to gray black
to yellow white.
To yellow white. So he's got his yellow white belt. He and his brother somewhere around here. But so what has Daddy been doing at the jiu-jitsu place for the past week? Huh?
You've been taking jiu-jitsu with us.
Right. And what did Daddy, you saw that yesterday? Daddy is apparently surprising some of the people at the jiu-jitsu place, huh?
Yeah.
What did Daddy do to surprise them?
They were surprised how strong you were.
What else?
They said that they were surprised how you weren't being like aggressive during the thing.
And what did they say about that?
They said if you were more aggressive during it, you would be unstoppable.
They said if Daddy was more aggressive, he would be unstoppable. Now, what is Daddy's strategy with these people? What have I been doing to them?
Just been holding, like, you've been holding them, right?
How much does Daddy weigh?
295 pounds.
Right. And that's a good thing because 2 weeks ago, I was 313 pounds. So after 2 weeks of some hard exercise and getting back to my fighting roots, I've already dropped, how much is that? It's 213 down to 295. So I've already dropped 18 pounds. You see? But Mr. Gracie, the actual person, put their head up so they can look at your pretty self. Pretty handsome. This is my handsome, beautiful, handsome son. Look how beautiful he is. Show him how beautiful you're. Handsome like your daddy, son. Look at you. You're beautiful. But oh man, looks like we froze. Looks like that. I don't know if we froze or not. But Mr. Gracie, who's the person who invented Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, he was in Brazil. And Brazil is full of athletic black people who were in slavery, and he was a little small, white European looking dude, right? And so he had to come up with a style of martial arts grappling, i.e. jiu-jitsu, that could neutralize their threat. And so his whole point was to come up with something that would neutralize the attack and prevent him from being hurt. So if you have somebody my size who's jumping on somebody who's 5'5", 5'10", whatever, less than 200 pounds, that's an unfair fight. I'm supposed to win. So if they're able to neutralize me and prevent any damage that I would cause to them, then they won the fight. You understand that?
Yeah.
And so what I do with these folks, because Daddy has limitations right now. I'm 47. I'm almost 300 pounds. Daddy elbow hurt. What else hurts on Daddy?
Your back.
Your back. What else hurts on Daddy?
What else?
Got high blood pressure. What else? Elbows.
Yeah.
Elbows, back, knees. What else? Hands hurt. My feet hurt. Everything hurts on Daddy, right?
Yeah.
So what I do is I recognize, and on top of that, I'm 47. So if I'm in there wrestling with somebody who is 20 something, 30 something, they're naturally going to be more flexible, have less injuries, all these different things. So what I do is I reverse their goal. See, I let them take the dominant position, and then I give them something and let them try and put me in a little arm bar and snatch it back. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I'll let them try to put me in a triangle, and knowing that I'm too big for them to get me in the triangle. And then I'll just snatch it back. And after 2 or 3 minutes of wrestling with me and then me mash, then I'll do something. Once they make a mistake or get tired, then I'll flip them over, and then I'll just lay on them, put my elbows in their stomach, rest on their diaphragm, and they become exhausted. And then at that point, the fight's over, because they're trying to put me in a submission hold, which is nearly impossible because they're not strong enough and they're too small. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, of course, when I lose weight, I'll take over for that. But I've studied what they do, and I understand the philosophy of the fight. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I don't expend any energy. I make them expend more energy trying to do what they've been taught to do. They're not actually thinking. You see what I mean? They're not. The most powerful weapon that a warrior has is up here. You see, it's not these, it's this right here. And so they're not thinking. They're trying to do to me what they do to people their size, when their whole martial arts is designed for them to fight with people my size. It's for the physically disadvantaged person to neutralize the power and strength of the person who is advantaged. So what I've done is I've reversed that on them. Do you understand what I'm doing?
Yeah.
So it looks like Daddy just letting them jump on top of him. He don't even care. And then all of a sudden I flip them over, and they like, oh my God, I didn't know you can do that. And so I ended up wrestling a bunch of white belts and then a bunch of purple belts, and some black belts showed up, and I was tired by them. He got me in one arm bar, but then I said, okay, well, let me give him some. But you notice how they like to try to coach you. And then when I managed to and look, then when I managed to get his back, right? I was about to get his back. He said, oh no, never mind. That's it. Let's take a break. You see what I mean? Because no black belt wants the first week white belt, as they think, to submit them in front of their professor. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's thinking. So today I'm talking about Vikings as far as a Sunday sermon. And I know you over here, Daddy, talking to all these guys on the internet, but we're going to talk about masculinity. Now, that's not an issue that you have because you were raised by me, and then you've been surrounded by a lot of strong masculine men your whole life, specifically your sensei, your professor, all these other folks. And, but a lot of these men don't know it. But also the religion, like the Bible up there, the Christian Bible, if you read it improperly, it tells you that you should be rewarded for being weak. You should be rewarded for being submissive. But when you look at these Viking religions, and you look at even what would Shaka Zulu say about a religion that teaches you to be weak and humble in front of your enemies who are trying to kill you?
Wouldn't accept it.
No. Shaka Zulu wouldn't accept it. You know how people would say stuff like, well, what would Jesus do? After we saw the movie Shaka Zulu, they said, well, what would Shaka do? This is like 4 or 5 years ago. But anyway, son, I know you're busy doing computer kid smart. It's my smart educational son right here. He's so smart. He get good grades. Most of these stay out of trouble. He's not like that. That is beautiful, baby. You're so beautiful. Look at you. Okay, you go bye-bye. All right. Anyway, so my whole point of that was, I love, showing off my beautiful sons anyway. But, that lesson is something. Think about that. You can always calculate strength. When people see me, we're assuming he's 6'4", damn near 300 pounds. But shout out to me, okay? I went from 213 to 295 in 2 weeks. It's from the time I went to the doctor and they put me on that goddamn medicine has got my stomach acting up. Damn high blood pressure medicine. Because, you know, you guys, and I've been telling y'all for the last year, y'all running the pressure up. But who wants to go to that place? And thank God for my beautiful fiance. She's been cooking me these low cholesterol, low salt, vegetarian meals and stuff. And so, you know, I'm getting back to myself, you know, but like many of you, I succumb to the emasculation, you know, and I know if somebody like me will succumb to it, many of you guys who didn't have the reinforcement that I had as a young man about being, I know many of you guys have. You know, the women, the children, the society tells you, no, just, you know, don't do that. They want you to be these little neutered dogs around here. And it all also comes at you through your religion. You know, your religion even uses that. And I alluded to that to my son just now. Most of us here in the United States, we're Christian or some sort of worshiper of Jesus Christ in some kind of way. And what that does is, you know, what you're reading in the Bible is often the preacher's interpretation of what the Bible says. It's not actually what the Bible says. And if you read it from cover to cover, it would say a lot of different things. You would read about a God who was definitely revengeful and jealous and gave permission to his chosen people to slaughter people, even those amongst the others who were their friends. So this tells you a lot about them, you know. But what I do is I practice a warrior culture, and anything that does not register with what I deem to be, you know, necessary for me to be the good warrior that God wants me to be, I reject it. So, you know, and this is my opening. I know it's a little different, but I want to have a conversation with you men. Here in the Black manosphere, here in the manosphere, I think one of the most important things we should do is focus on the fact that this should be about men. Okay, and yeah, I get it. Relationships are a big aspect of that discussion, like who you choose to mate with, but really that's secondary to who you are as a man. I ask my sons this all the time. What kind of man are you going to be? What kind of man are you? You know, are you a man that is courageous? Are you honorable? Are you trustworthy? Are you hardworking? Do you quit before the fight starts? Do you run away with the fight when you know you have a valiant cause? What kind of man are you going to be? And a lot of that has to do with your belief system, your strongly held beliefs. And when I look through history and I look at the people that have succeeded, who withstood the test of time, whose legacies still march forward into the future, I think of people. I think about those Scandinavians, those Vikings and their religion, and it makes me ask myself, who were they? It makes me ask myself, who were they and what did they stand for? So, you know, and so what I want to talk to you guys about is beginning to unlearn some of the effeminization those messages brought to you in your religion, and how in the long run, what them telling you, like instance, the things like, I had somebody come on here and say the meek shall inherit the earth. And they interpret meek with weak. And even though those are two different words, that's basically what they say. Be humble, be submissive, you'll inherit the earth. Nobody's going to give anything to you. You know, and that's the first lesson that you learn as a man. You're not waiting around for someone to save you. That's the worst thing you can do. And the religion and the story of the interpretation of Christianity that Black people in the United States have been fed, and the Caribbean, and also in Africa have been fed, is wait around and Jesus will come down and save you. Wait around and your salvation will come to you at the end of your death, or at your death, as opposed to death being just another extension and another set of adventures that come along after that. A whole nother life starts after that. Once this is over, it's over. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, we'll go ahead and start now. I want to talk to you guys. And yeah. So, you know, I've been training a little bit. Well, I've been training a lot. I went like 4 or 5 times last week. And I lost 18 pounds. I'm happy about that. But what I did with them, they see me and they see my strength, and they can estimate strength. But what they don't estimate, what they can't figure out is what they don't know. Like, what am I actually thinking? What is my end goal here? Right. And so, you know, that's just thinking, being a warrior. You see what I'm saying? And see, Charles Merchant said, your obedience saves you. No believer is not to wait to be saved. Yeah, that's not what people believe, bro. That may be your interpretation of it, but most people see Charles Merchant, you starting off early. Charles, you are saying, yeah, well, this is the interpretation. But there's so many different interpretations of Christianity. And most Black people are told that, hey, no, you wait around for Jesus to save you. You'll have your salvation. You'll have your riches in the next life. That's the slave-making religion that has been bred into us. And that's the problem. And that's why we have so many men who are allowing and willing to allow themselves to be emasculated instead of always pushing for their masculinity and pushing for these things. This is not a problem that the Vikings had. Okay, so now without further ado, and then all Merchant's interpretations of man's understanding. Well, the Bible is an interpretation of God. Okay, God didn't put pen to paper and write the Bible. The Bible is an interpretation of God, so that's what it is. But either way, shout out to Taboo Smash. Thank you so much, Solo Dolo. I appreciate you. He's real close. Thank you so much for your new membership. I appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. I want to talk to you guys about a little bit about Old Norse religion. And you like, Dennis, what? I thought we talk about Christian stuff. No, this is Sunday sermon. And what we do here on this Sunday sermon in the manosphere, as far as I'm concerned on this page, is we talk about masculinity and what's necessary for men, specifically for Black men, to become the best men they can be. Okay. So I know the most of you guys know about Old Norse religion or any other religion. It's something you saw in the movies or something like that, right? Just so you know, the Swedes, the Danes, all these different people, they come from the Germans. Basically, they call them Germanic people, these Germanic tribes. And you know the reputations of the Germans, right? They are not known to be some weak, docile people. As a matter of fact, they're known to be pretty damn tough, pretty damn hardcore, very precise, very unified when necessary. They get things done. Some of the best cars and the technology come from Germany. These are some of the hardiest people on the planet. The Romans fought them for 1,000 years and never quite subdued them. And they were supposed to be the conquerors. The minute they crossed that Rhine, they knew they had a fight on their hands. So a little bit about Old Norse religion, also known as Norse paganism, is the most common name for a branch of Germanic religion, which developed during the Proto-Norse period, and North Germanic people separated into distinct branch of Germanic peoples. It was replaced by Christianity and forgotten during the Christianization of Scandinavia. Scholars reconstruct aspects of the North Germanic religion by historical linguists, archaeological toponymy, and records left by Northern Germanic peoples, such as runic inscriptions, distinctly North Germanic extensions of runic alphabet. But they're polytheistic. Just some highlights. They're polytheistic. They have various gods and goddesses, different names. Some of the more famous, they had two different groups, the Aesir and the Vanir, two different groups, the old gods, the new gods. Many of you guys are familiar with Thor, of course, because you guys have seen Marvel Comics. Thor, the god of thunder, Odin's son, or Odin named the All-Father because he created both the children and the gods, so therefore he's deemed the All-Father. And there's, of course, like many other religions, giants, dwarves, elves, land spirits, and so on and so forth. And all of this revolved around the world tree, right? Which is where they say it all came from, and they have actual name. And then so I'm not here to be a professor on Nordic mythology, okay? And then now Charles Merchant, you said Nordic mythology is paganism. I know. What's the point? You don't want me to talk about it? Does that offend you that I talk about it? Huh? You said it has nothing to do with Nordic ideology. Okay, yeah. But let me tell you why I'm talking about this. About a month ago, we had a black brother come over here from Africa on my page and say that Black Americans are known for begging and being cowards. That's the reputation that we have as Black Americans. That's because of our programming. They said we're known for begging. Our own Black brothers and sisters said we are known for being beggars and cowards. We beg the white man for everything we have. That's the reputation that Black American men have. Now, if you're okay with that, that says more about you than anything else. I'm not okay with that. By contrast, the Vikings are not known for being beggars or cowards. They're known for being warriors. They're known for being brutal. They're known for being savage, but they're known you don't mess with them. The reason Black men have so many issues and so many people don't mind beating us up and doing all these things to us is because that's the reputation that we have. So you go ahead and keep that version of Christianity that you have. Okay, you keep that punk ass, weak ass, I'm gonna be everybody's submissive little punk. That you keep that version of Christianity. We've had that all the way up through slavery, and it has failed us. That's what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with a failed ideology that not only has failed us, but it has Black people in a position right now where nobody respects us, especially Black men, not even our women or our children. So that's where we at right now. So you keep that punk ass version of Christianity and you hold that. I'm going to let you have that. I'm going to go somewhere else. Now I can read the same book that you read and I can highlight the warriors instead of just bowing down and be meek and weak and all that. You keep that. That's you. You go ahead. If you want to live your life on your knees and you go ahead and live your best life. That's you. I'm not with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at other places where I can be inspired and where I can inspire these men and other men to be the men that I think the Most High God wants them to be. So you keep that punk ass shit to yourself, sir. All right? And watch your comments. Christianity is not submissive. The version of Christianity that Black folks are taught is submissive. It sure is. That's submissive. It tells you to turn the other cheek. You be good slaves obey your master. That sure is a weak ass. It sure is. What are you talking about? Have you not been around it? Have you not read Black American history? Huh? Have you not? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put you on up out of here since you're not really willing to listen to the lesson. We got one of them Bible thumpers in here who have more to say and don't want to listen. So let's go ahead and continue. So the thing I want to kind of point out to you guys is some of the things that many of these warrior religions, and this also includes Shaka Zulu or Amazulu, and the Zulus believe they were descended straight from gods, okay? They believed that when they died, death was a new beginning. And so what did that do? They weren't afraid of death. You see, Black men, especially in this country through Christianity, we've been taught to be afraid of death. We've been taught that death there's no rewards after. Either you're going to heaven or you're going to hell. And most of us have been taught that we're going to hell. So they're afraid of death. If you commit one sin, you're going to death. If you work on a Sunday, if you these sort of things, if you eat the wrong food, you're afraid. So that makes you afraid of death. Whereas warrior cultures, people who are remembered throughout history as heroes, they embrace death because death means what? It's a new beginning. Whether it's the Romans and the Greeks who believed that they would end up in Elysian fields, right, after death, those warriors, or the Vikings, who believe once they died, they would enter into, if they died a valiant warrior fighting, they would end up in the halls of Valhalla. And it's reflected even in their prayers. Like, I want to run through some quick prayers that they had. Just this is, lo, there do I see my father. Lo, there do I see my mother and my sisters and my brothers. Lo, there do I see the line of my people back to the beginning. They call to me and bid me take my place among them in the walls of Valhalla, where the brave may live forever. So basically, it's rewarding you for being brave. It's rewarding you for being courageous. These people were inspired to go out and conquer the world and set their mark in the world. This is what they were inspired to do. And so the question is, if your religion does not serve you in that purpose, if your religion teaches you to be in a subservient position, does that religion really serve you? Does your interpretation of that religion serve you? You have to ask yourself, if your religion teaches you to be a victim, does that religion serve you? This is the question that you have to ask yourself. And it's a hard question, because see, a lot of y'all identify with the religion that you have. It's really all you have. It allows you to blame everybody else for your destiny and the circumstances you in. It's a cop-out. See, I can read the same Bible that you read, and it inspires me to be a courageous, heroic man who is sent here to fulfill his purpose of God, which is not to be some subservient sucker. It's not for me to be somebody's slave. But many of you guys don't see that. You want to hold on to this religion, the same slave-making religion that treats, in this country, this is the interpretation of Christianity. You believe the Hamitic curse, which says that because of the color of your skin, you're supposed to be a slave. Is that a religion that you want? Is that an interpretation of Christianity that you want to hold on to? You have to ask yourself, and what does it say about you if you want to hold on to that? That's what I want to ask you. See, I want men. I want you to be strong, masculine, dominant, healthy men. And it starts with your programming. If your program, if you believe that God wants you to be weak and docile like a baby or a woman, then that's what you're going to be. That's at the core of who you are. And it's a cop-out because it puts no responsibility on you. That's what you have to understand. As it is right now, black men in America are known for what? Being run by their women, being beggars. That's what it's known for. Even though, I've talked extensively about the efforts that black men have put forth in all the wars and defending this country. But this is our reputation. The Zulus didn't have that reputation. The Vikings didn't have that reputation. And we have to begin to break down the components of their culture and explain why. Now, let's continue forward. So one of the key figures in the Norse religion or pagan religion or whatever, Norse paganism, and I want you to understand this, right? We're analyzing the characteristics of this, right? So let's look. Odin from Old Norse is a widely revered god in Germanic mythology, Norse mythology. The source of most surviving information about him portrays Odin as king of the gods and associates him with wisdom, healing, death, royalty, the gallows, knowledge, war, battle, victory, sorcery, poetry, frenzy, and runic alphabets, and depicts him as a husband of the goddess Frea. Wider Germanic mythology and paganism, the god was known in Old English as Woden and Woden and Wooden. But the bottom line is, look at his characteristics. the one I want to pick out, these three here: knowledge, war, battle, and victory. Right? Royalty. Right? This is what these peoples, the king of the gods, this was the aspects that he was into. You see what I'm saying? This is what these people who launched into the world, right? You hear about them. These are the gods they worship. Ragnarok, Bjorn Ironside. What's the one that went down to France and became French royalty? All these people, these people here, these are the warriors that this religion helped beget. This is their belief system. So you have to ask yourself, what was driving? I mean, it's only two positions in this world you can feel. Either you can be a conqueror or the conquered. Who do you want to be in this world? Ask yourself that as men. Do you want to be a conqueror or do you want to be a conquered people? And if you are a conquered people, you have to ask yourself, why am I conquered? What is it? Because you can only keep a person slave if they got to participate with you. They got to participate in the slavery with you. It's only so much you can do. If they don't cooperate, they can't be slaves. So the question you have to ask yourself is, why is it that we, as Black Americans, have allowed ourselves to be conquered for so long? And you have to look at the belief system that we have inherited. Look at people with strong warrior religions in the world. Look at them. Look at them and look at their trajectory through humanity, through society. They've never been conquered. The Zulus, they've been fought, but they ain't been enslaved in mass. The German people, with their old Norse beliefs, they've never been in the Arabs and Islam. Look at that. Look at their religion. And that's one of those Abrahamic religions. Right? It teaches them to fight the infidel. And you are the infidel. You Christians and Jews and anybody else. So what does that tell you? You got two positions in this world you can fill. That's it. So, but I wanted to bring up Odin, and I'm gonna just go through this a little bit. Loki is another one of those Norse gods. Interestingly enough, when you examine the relationship between Loki and Odin, they are not actually father and son, they're actually brothers. Now look at the characteristics of these two, right? Loki is typically known as the god of mischief. He is, I want to go through his characters real quick. He's a shapeshifter. He behaves maliciously. Let me go through his characteristics because there's a special relationship that exists between Odin and Loki. Loki being the god of mischief, Odin being the king of the gods, Loki being the god of so they had an understanding. And the reason they're trying to explain that is because as a king of the gods, as a ruler, you don't totally get rid of the treachery, the treacherousness that you have to have. Sometimes you have to be sly. Sometimes you have to be cunning to be a successful leader. So they understood that. That was the balancing act. So this is, you don't ever just totally get rid of that part. Shapeshifter, some of these other things that they refer to, and it's here in the readings that I put in the link. So you guys feel free to check that out. But there's a special relationship. So they don't actually destroy each other. Matter of fact, they can't. They need each other. You see? So just think about that. That's another aspect of it. Now, let me talk. I want to go to Ragnarok. Okay. Now, Ragnarok is their story of the end times, which in actuality is a new beginning. So let's look at that. Okay. Fate of the Gods is a series of events, including a battle foretold to lead to the death of a number of great figures, including Odin, Thor, Loki, natural disasters, and submersion of the world in water. After these events, the world will resurface anew and fertile. So they talk about this in cycles. After all this destruction, it's recycled. So that actually shares something in common with Christianity, the resurrection story. Okay. Yeah, Loki is technically going to bring about Ragnarok, and it's a lot to that. You got to read it. But what I'm trying to do is, you have to understand what sent these people out in the world to conquer the world, right? This is what I want to talk about to you guys. What sent these Vikings, these fearless people who managed to work their way over to North America 400 years or so before Columbus, or 200 years before Columbus? How did that even happen? What kind of courage? I can't get some of you dudes to get passports and go down to the Dominican Republic, and you got these dudes 1,000 years ago who hopped in basically some rowboats and rowed across the North Atlantic. What kind of courage and tenacity did they have? What kind of belief in themselves did they have? You black men need that, because right now your esteem is at an all-time low. That's what I'm talking about. Your self-esteem is at an all-time low, to the point that your women call your women queens and goddesses, and they call you no good ninjas, bitch ass ninjas, and dogs. So where are we? This is where we are. Again, if your religion does not empower you to be conquerors, empower you to take life by the horns, take life and push forward, figure out what it is God has for you to do, what your purpose is, and push forward, then what does that say about you? It means you need to change your programming. It means your programming is defective. It means your what is it? You need to download a new operating system. And part and parcel of a major component of your operating system is your strongly held beliefs, and in that is included religion. And so you need to ask yourself, now, if you can't look in this Bible with all these 66 some odd books, 67 books, if you can't look in that book and find some empowerment, then you probably need to reread it. If not, get a new religion. That's what you need to do. Because as it is right now, we're losing 66 books. We as black men are losing. And again, part of the problem is what? Our belief system. Our belief system has failed us. Now, you guys don't have to like what I'm saying, and you can say what you want to say. You can believe what you choose to believe, but we can't deny these numbers as men. Now I'm gonna open a chat room up. I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. The link is in the chat room. Make sure you contribute to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. But how do you want to be remembered? Who are you? Right? Who are you as a people? This is what we're going to talk about. Are we going to continue forward past 2021, 20, whatever, and still be having internalizing this slave making religion that was passed down to us and given to us by people who wanted to keep us, who wanted to program us away from our humanity? What are we going to do? The link is in the chat room. In the meantime, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You guys chime in if you want to chime in. Otherwise, I'm going to keep on talking.
Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App. Make sure you contribute to the PayPal. Make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. The only time black men are allowed to speak is when it benefits others. So, hey, this is your opportunity to speak. I want to hear from you. And if you want to make this voice louder and clearer, then what you need to do is contribute to the Cash App, the PayPal, and the Super Chat. The only time black men are allowed to speak is when it benefits others. So, hey, this is your opportunity to speak. I want to hear from you. And if you want to make this voice louder and clearer, then what you need to do is contribute to the Cash App, the PayPal, and the Super Chat. I appreciate you.
All right. So we're back again. So, again, I want to talk to you guys about, we're talking about Sunday sermon, and we're examining examination of a conqueror's religion. And we're using the Viking religion as an example of that, right? Now, ironically, if you look at the Old Testament and the religion that was given to the chosen people, right? Basically, they were told to go be conquerors, go conquer the promised land, right? And when they didn't do it, what happened? What happened when they didn't initially go conquer the promised land? Because it doesn't take 40 years to walk from Egypt to, Jerusalem, right? You could probably do it in, 3 or 4 weeks, right? If you walk straight. But there was a reason why. The reason why is because the people weren't ready to be conquered. They were still enslaved. They basically had to walk off that enslavement mentality. And yeah, they're right. And they suffered because they would not do what? Become the conquerors that God wanted them to be. Some of them were afraid. Some of them did all that. And so they didn't get their promised land until they became conquerors. Now I want you to juxtapose that situation onto the one we have right now. Right now, we have an interpretation of a religion called Christianity in America, an interpretation of it based on a slave interpretation. It tells you black folks that you need to be slaves. And you will not reach the promised land until you become the conquerors that you are supposed to be, if you truly believe that in the Bible. That's the lesson in it. That's the lesson. And all I'm trying to do is show you the similarities between that Viking religion, that conqueror's religion, and we might end up talking about the Zulus also, because they also had a conqueror's religion, right? One of their great leaders, their great, the All Father. He was a seeker of wisdom. His wife, right? Fertility and beauty, right? This is who it was. So you got the seeker of wisdom, who also is the god of battle and war, who is also the king of the gods. And you'll go to him if you die valiantly in war. That's the reward you get for being courageous. His wife, the goddess, Frea, fertility and beauty. Don't you think we need some black men who seek wisdom, who are courageous? Somebody said the link is not working. Let me try to get that in for you. Come on in, Devin. There's a link again. Hopefully that works for you, man. Come on in. I don't know what the issue was. Let me know if you can come in. But these are, if you pattern these people, these Vikings, they pattern themselves after their god. They pattern themselves after Thor. They pattern themselves after Frea, the women. They pattern themselves after Loki, even Odin. This is why they were conquerors. Who was Thor? Thor was the guardian of humanity. He was the guardian of their people. So you empower the men who want to be like Thor. You guard the people. You take care of the people. We don't have religious figures like that in Christianity, not ones that are fed to black people. How many of you young folks growing up ever knew who Joshua was? Huh? I know you know some people named Joshua, but who was Joshua? See, there's an overemphasis on Jesus and an underemphasis on Joshua. Why is that? Why do you think Jesus is fed to black folks and given to you out of context? Why is it that the Jesus in the early part of the New Testament is fed to you as opposed to the Jesus that's coming back in Revelations? Because they're turning you into what they want you to be, and you're accepting it because that's what you want to be. If you can, my man Devin says you can't join the link. Is there still an issue joining? Devin, let me know. Devin said he can't join. Let me see what the problem is, baby. I don't know what it is. Said the link is working. Yeah, the link is working. Come on in, man. Yeah, the link is working. Come on in. The link is ready. So this is what we're talking about here today. And I understand why some of you Bible thumpers would find this uncomfortable, because it's actually going to require you to have to do something. You can no longer sit around and die and wait to go to heaven. You are now going to have to, if black men start saying, you know, we're going to be men now. We're going to man up and we're going to be men and we're going to be masculine. We're going to begin to claim what's ours and claim our territory and claim our masculinity. And we're not going to allow ourselves to be pushed around anymore by our women, by each other, by the thugs amongst us. We're not going to allow that about society. We're going to set our mark here. And we're willing to give it all for that. See, that's going to put some onus on you, black men who become accustomed to waiting around for somebody to give you something. You become soft. You see, you become weak. You luxury is one thing that got you, right? You complacent in a position under white supremacy racism. Your religion tells you you'll be rewarded if you are obedient. The meek shall inherit the earth. Turn the other cheek. Even though you're taking all that, if your neighbor takes your coat, give them your robe or whatever. That is all that misinterpretation. And I went through that a couple of weeks ago. All that is a misinterpretation of what the Bible says. You don't even know what you're reading. But you because of your programming, you're assuming it tells you to continue doing what you've been doing. Be submissive, be weak. That is not a manly position. You submit to God, not to other men. But you're willing to do that because you're cowards. You're cowards because your Bible, the interpretation of the Bible, the interpretation of your religion that you have, says it's okay for you to be a coward. Why is it that the same interpretation of the Bible that you have tells you to be a coward in America, and it told those Europeans to go reconquer the Holy Land? Why is that? Because they had a different mentality. Your mentality fits your religion. And that's what we are. This is where we are. And, you know, we have a dividing line going on here. There's a divide going on in America amongst Black Americans, especially Black American men. It's no longer fashionable to be a Pookie and a Ray Ray. It's no longer acceptable to be a thug. As you guys hear me all the time, Pookie and Ray Ray must die. That immature adolescence, pseudo masculinity, that facade, it's time for the real deal. It's time for you men to behave accordingly. Why? Because we have no other choice. Everything is being stripped away from us because we've been so compliant. even to the point our own women don't respect us and will talk bad about us openly. Even the greatest among us. And so what are you going to do? You're going to lay down and die? Most of you will. And that's why you have so many black men abandoning the black community. Hell, you got black men to the point they're abandoning their own masculinity because there's no help and no hope. You got dudes that rather pretend like they're a member of the alphabet community than be masculine because it's too hard, because they have no help. Largely because of men like you, largely because of your programming. To be masculine. Your strong-held beliefs tell you it's perfectly acceptable to be subservient. Welcome back, Devin. How you doing today?
Excellent, brother. Excellent. And you did another, I got to give it to you, brother. It's another excellent show idea, man. And you're absolutely right. You know, I'm in the process of trying to do what I can to help brothers every opportunity that I can. I look inside myself and I try to see what part of the problem is within me and what part of the solution is within me. And as a business owner, you know, I try to reach out to other brothers. And you know, who may be entrepreneurs or who may need a job, or, you know, who may just need a hand up, or who may need some advice on how to have their own business. But man, you know, among us, I'm not even talking about the alphabet brothers, right? I'm talking about among us heterosexual black men. Okay, I'm in my 50s. The 90% of the brothers that are married, they're basically really beta, man. They're beta to their wives. I can't even talk to brothers on the phone without finding out halfway through the conversation that they're on the speakerphone and their wife is listening to every word, man. And this subservience, beta, cuck, and also I can't even communicate intelligently with people and tell them news that might be disappointing to them, because I got to deal with the emotional screams, which is tantamount to being like a fucking chimpanzee. Excuse my French, man. I'm very frustrated because of things that I'm experiencing right now in business, trying to help brothers, man. Trying to help brothers. And it's the stereotypical, cheeky, ungrateful, you know, because they start hating you because you're in a position to help them. And so they start trying to compare themselves to you with a babyfied machismo, like they're little kids trying to show off for mommy, instead of standing up on their own 2 feet like men and understanding that, man, we're going to have to, we cannot live with the emotional framework of the single mothers that raised most of us. And that's unfortunately what the problem is. The predominance of single motherhood has permeated our culture over 2 or 3 generations, and it's effeminized our culture, and it's taken the men, those of us who should be the Vikings, who should be the warriors, who should be the ones who are standing up, running businesses, opening banks, buying land, employing each other. All of these things were done in Greenwood by heterosexual black men, by patriarchs and patriarchy. And the only salvation for us in America is when we, as heterosexual black men, stand up. But yeah.
So the thing is, man, and we can dig into that, but why is that allowed? You know, it's allowed because our strong-held beliefs allow it. And our strong-held beliefs are based on customs, and religion is part of that. And the interpretation of the Bible that we have tells us that there is virtue in being submissive and being weak. And so it's an easy jump to go from being submissive and being weak to this dominant power structure and the dominant society to being submissive and weak to your own women. And soon it will be to your own children. You see, and so this is where we are. And so it's not this Sunday sermon is not about Viking religion. It's about you compare the interpretation of Christianity that you have to these people who are now thousands of years removed from present day, but who still have an impression, who've left an impression on the rest of the world for their tenacity, their warlike culture, their bravery, their courageousness. They still, small group of people in northern Scandinavia left their impression on the entire world, made it all the way to the Middle East. What I'm trying to do is get black men to understand that the interpretation of Christianity that you have, in other words, the emphasis on certain parts and not on others, is why you believe what you believe and why you think it's perfectly acceptable to be submissive, even to your own women, to the point where you got to go through her to get approval for stuff that you should be able to make a decision on your own. You understand what I'm trying to say? And why are you? Because you're preaching paganism. Shut up, man. But go ahead. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Man, you hit the nail right on the head, man. It's really time for us to let go of all subservience to the dominant society, and especially subservience to the women within our culture, within our group.
Booker T says, can we build effectively without being organized first? Organize yourself first. That's who you organize. Figure out what type of man you're going to be first.
Right.
That's the first person you start with. You organize yourself. You get your own house. You get your own this house in order first, and then you move outward. Then you get your family in order.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Then you get your house in order. Don't try to organize with me and you unorganized.
No.
You got an apartment and you barely able to pay your rent, and you want me to come work with you and open a building. You're gonna basically have a handout for a loan, and that's not how that works. But before we go further, Devin, you guys, if you appreciate this conversation, man, make sure you contribute to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. Don't do me like that. And big shout out to XL Pro Services too. Thank you so much, man. Y'all, I get caught up into these conversations. Taboo Smash, Solo Dolo. Y'all make sure y'all contribute, man. Don't do that to me. But go ahead, bro. What are your thoughts?
Now, man, like I said, this is an excellent topic. I see, I'm an optimist, man, when it comes to brothers, and I foresee an age coming up in the very near future of Black masculinity.
Well,
I don't know if they're going to call it the Black masculinist movement or not.
I hope so. And I started, I don't know if you were here, but I started off, I had my son with me. And he's 14, and he's probably one of the manliest dudes I've met. And that includes all the men that, I run across in my life, because he was bred into that. You see what I mean? So much so I said, well, let me get my big old self back out here.
Yeah.
And start getting punched and kicked and slammed, because that is hard being a man. If it was easy being a man, women would be men.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? But it's the reason why you women, they say we want equality, but they don't want to get drafted. They say we want equality, but we don't want to get down there and dig out that sewer line. You see what I mean? We don't want to lay that pipe because it's hard being a man. And so even men don't want to be men. And so you have to breed masculinity into male children so that they would then want to be men. We haven't done that. And part of it has to do with our religion has made it acceptable. But then why do you need men why do you need masculine men if you're going to be a submissive group of people? You understand what I'm saying? It's unnecessary. That's what they're trying to do to the entirety of society. White men, black men, Asian men, they're trying to make us a bunch of easy, compliant beta males that do exactly what the government says do.
And
that's
perfect
right now. But go ahead. What are your thoughts on that, man?
And that would make us perfectly primed to be attacked by a foreign invader, by a foreign enemy. It softens up the men. It softens up the entire culture. They're turning masculinity into something toxic. They're even to say toxic masculinity is associating something negative with really something positive, beautiful, and necessary.
Right.
Without masculinity, masculine men are the providers. Masculine men are the protectors.
So Charles Merchant, you've been saying a lot in the comment section. Come on in. You got to get out the comment section. You troll in the comment section. The link is in the chat room, Charles. Come on in. You want to talk, right? Come on in. We're here to talk about. I take the position that black men need to be more masculine. We need to be more manly. We need to be conquerors, as opposed to allowing ourselves to be a condition to be the conquered. We need to go out in the world and make our mark. We need to figure out what it is that God wants us to do and do it. We need to be more like Joshua. That's what we need to do. Okay. And for those of you who have a problem with that, come on in. Because see, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to preach that punk ass version of Christianity to my children. I love Jesus. I love Christ. But the Christ that you say you worship is not the Christ that I read about in the Bible. He's not the one that's in there flipping over tables. You got some whole different thing. Mr. Nice Guy, unmute yourself. Mr. Nice Guy, unmute yourself. Mr. Nice Guy, you got to unmute yourself if you can. Devin, are you still there? Mr. Nice Guy, hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you today, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine. I want to say I'm a big fan.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm a big fan of yours. I really am. And I love you, brother.
Don't be a fan. We ain't got no fans up in here, brother. We all brothers, man. Just like you. But go ahead.
I want to say this to you, brother. I have two things I want to say. I want to bring to the conversation. One, do you think I myself am black, but do you think if most black people were brought up under the guidance of Islam, that we'd be as submissive as we are now?
Well, see, that's hard to answer because there was a lot of blacks who were Africans who were Islam or who were Muslim that were captured in 19. And I talk about, and I'm gonna talk about this in my discussion on reparations. And they were made slaves too. They had a lot of Africans that were brought on the slave ships to the United States and the Caribbean and South America.
Well,
I
understand.
Go ahead.
I understand that, but we put a lot of emphasis on Christianity, on religion in general. Now, my second point, because this is what I really want to say, and I'll come back to this here, what I'm talking about now. As opposed to so-called toxic masculinity, I like to say, for all the people out there, including most of those who are feminists, if you take, as far as black men, if you take feminism, you take masculinity out of the equation, because everybody's complaining about masculinity being so toxic. I'd like to know how the very people who are complaining about so-called toxic masculinity would be handling it if there were no masculinity. If masculinity was to be exiled from, if we were to take all let's say in 10 or 15 years tops, I say at least in the next 10 years, if there are no more masculine men, there will be a lot of black people, particularly lovely ladies out there, sisters, running around complaining about there not being any masculine men. Then they'll be worrying about having to protect themselves and watching their own backs. You know what I'm saying?
We're worried about that right now, bro.
Well, see, all I'm trying to say is we have to be careful what we ask for, because you never know, we just may get it.
Yep.
These people are complaining about religion, but religious values are being stripped away a little bit more each day. Now they're saying our society is too over-sexualized. They're complaining about a whole lot of other stuff. That's what happens when you have no order and no discipline in the society. See, religion and spirituality brings order. It brings discipline. It brings structure.
But when you say religion, what kind of religion are you feeding your people?
Well, that's my point exactly.
It's always been religion. We've always, human beings for the last 1.5 million years, we've always believed in some sort of something other than what we can see, the tangible. We've always had explanations for higher power. We had, back in the day, we were polytheistic. Everything was a god. You had a god of trees, chipmunks, squirrels, mountains, the sky, rainfall, snowfall. It was a god of everything. And the more technology came in, the less we needed to pray to this god. Because now that I got an umbrella, I don't pray to the god of rain. Now that I got a buckshot, I don't need to pray to the god of the wildebeest, because I'm just going to shoot him down and eat him. He's no longer a god. I've conquered that god. And so we've narrowed it down. Now we got this one God, this mighty God who we say lives in space. And so because of that, and we haven't conquered space, at some point, it's going to be a challenge to even believe in God, because technology, not for everybody, but for technology is going to say, well, we're the gods now. And so you got a lot going on. But see, what I'm dealing with is the God of the Holy Bible, the Most High. And the thing that I want folks to understand is if you actually read the Bible, it's not, as opposed to taking your preacher's word for it, it's not a book that asks you to be these submissive, pliable, weak people. But that's what we as Black Americans get out of it. And we're comfortable with that because what's happened over the years is that we found that it's easy to be weak, pliable, and submissive. What do you want to say after that, Mr. Nice Guy? And then we're going to go to Charles Merchant.
Yeah, I just want to say, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Of course, it's easy to be weak and submissive and subservient. I mean, that's why a lot of our community they're pretty much docile because we take the easy way out. We don't want to.
Weak and submissive and subservient to God. It's weak and submissive and subservient to other men and other groups of men and women, i.e. the dominant society. We're going to sit around and wait for somebody to give us something. And you wonder why we have this welfare state. You wonder why, I mean, this is what we're dealing with, and this is a problem and it needs to be rooted out. And it starts with our strongly held beliefs, which has a lot to do with our culture, and that comes a lot from our religion and our belief in God, which we've been lied to about. But either way, I want to get Mr. Charles Merchant. And sir,
I just have one more thing to say. Just one more.
Oh, go ahead.
When you talk about our belief system, which belief system do we feed into most? You got to ask yourself, do we feed most into
I'm going to ask you a question. The Bible says, turn the other cheek. What does that mean to you?
Actually, I guess, if you're talking about your brother in arms, that means, if you have a disagreement with your fellow brother, then you could turn the other cheek. But I don't think it means turn the other.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
I don't believe it means turn the other cheek of somebody, toward your enemy, if you know what I mean. And my point being, which belief do we?
Let me, because I want to get to Mr. Merchant. All right, you say the Bible says turn the other cheek if it's your brother. Don't turn the other cheek if it's your enemy. When you actually read the interpretation of the Bible, and I did a program on this about a month ago, turn the other cheek. In other words, let me say it like this. Oftentimes what would happen is rich people will come out and slap. This is back in that time. People will come off and slap you with a backhanded slap using their left hand. If you turn, and this is from Jesus's Sermon on the Mount, if you turn the other cheek, then that means they have to slap you with an open hand with their right hand. And by slapping you with an open hand with their right hand, it shows that you're equal to them. That's what the interpretation says. You can look at my Sunday sermon from about a month ago, and I talk about that. Now you see how that you interpret it as, I'm giving you credit. You say my brother is different than my enemy. I wouldn't turn the other, but most folk think that turning the other cheek means even if my enemy slaps me in my face, I have to. But that's not what the Bible says. Jesus was talking about passive protest or passive aggressive protest. Even in the whole thing, what does it say to you when I say give you the cloak from, what is it? You ask for my shirt and I give you my cloak. Basically, I'm naked. What does it say about that? What does that say to you? You ask for my what's that? Devin, what's that interpretation? What does it say? You ask me for my shirt and I give you my tunic too. What is that?
Yeah, it's ask for your shirt. If he asks for your shirt, you give him your coat. And basically, you're shaming the person who placed you into your nakedness.
Right. That's what that means. But most black people assume that means if somebody demands this, I give you all. I'm just walking around naked. Back in that time, to see somebody naked was a curse upon you. You understand what I'm saying? And so now so Jesus was basically giving a lesson on passive aggressive resistance against the Roman occupiers of the land. But black folks and the preachers that we have thrown that on us and said, no, this is the interpretation of it. This is what I mean. That whole lecture that I gave about the slave making interpretation of the Bible. You're not even reading. You're reading it and you're interpreting it without understanding
what the intent was when the writers wrote it in the Holy Bible. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the problem. And here's the thing, if you're a people that naturally gravitates towards being subservient and submissive, even your men will do that. Everybody will take advantage of you. So we have become a people, because it's the easy way out, that bows our head and looks the other way. This is what we've become, as opposed to looking in that Bible yourself and say, hold on a minute. Well, what about these so-called chosen people who went back to this land and conquered all this land? Because God, what about them? Why don't we talk about Joshua instead of Jesus? I mean, we love Jesus, but if we're going to talk about Jesus, why not? Can we talk about Josh? Can we talk about the Jesus that flipped over the tables in the temple? Can we talk about the Jesus that's coming back to conquer, to separate the wheat from the chaff? Why do we always just talk about this Jesus that turns the other cheek? This is what I'm saying. It's an interpretation. In other words, most folk have not read the Bible. Most folks, even if they read the Bible, they don't really understand what they're reading. You're trying to put 2,000-year-old customs. You're trying to put your modern day customs on 2,000-year-old reading, so you don't really get the understanding of it that you should. And this is what I'm talking about. But laziness and being compliant says, oh, well, it must mean something subservient for us. Matter of fact, we're a cursed people anyway. So hell with it from the Hamanic from that Hamanic curse. You understand what I'm saying, nice guy? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I understand totally.
Thank you so much for your question. We'll get back to you in a minute. And then Devin.
Right.
Yeah.
Go to Charles Merchant. Charles, brother, you had a lot to say in the comment section before we got started. What are your thoughts on this conversation? Go ahead. Appreciate you being here.
Can you hear me, sir, Mr. Spurs?
Yes, sir, Mr. Merchant.
You can. No, what I'm saying is what you're presenting here is correct. It's correct. But what I'm saying is the churches today, the pastors today are preaching a different Christ. It's a different Christianity. You see, subservience and pacifism is not Christianity at all. It's not Christianity at all, especially what they're teaching here in America. That's not Christianity at all. It's a form of Christianity, and the Bible exposes that. They said there'll be false teachers, false doctrines
give us
coming
a better
forward.
explanation and speaking a language that, because you obviously are a learned man and you read. Not everybody will understand what you mean. Can you please explain that?
Okay, to be subservient to a Nordic people is damnation for any man. If you worship or exalt any man, be it white, Jew, even the Bible exposes that. You don't follow any one of those people. You're not to follow or to look up to any one of those. They're all fallen men just like anyone else. They're fallen and they need to be saved. You see? So that's what I'm saying. It's not to be contrary to your message today or anything like that. It's to say that we have an errant teaching here in this country. We have an errant teaching, and it's beneficial to certain people to have black folks look up to white folks.
Who benefits from keeping black men under the belief that God wants them to be subservient and submissive and to turn the other cheek when they're slapped, to give up they ask for their shirt, they give up their tunic, they are destined to be slaves. Who benefits from that?
It's beneficial to the fallen man, the fallen perverted male, the one who benefits from the fall of all households, to those who benefit from diminishing the nuclear family with man at the head. You see, that's who benefits from it.
Well, I think the government benefits from that.
Right, and
as long as you have weak men around,
correct,
who are compliant, there's no reason to fear revolution or change. So the people who are in power will then remain in power. You see, that's what it. I mean, and the objective of government is to do what? Keep this ship floating on the water. So the last thing we want is a bunch of 1776 guys saying, hell with you. We're not paying these goddamn taxes anymore, and we're willing to die for it. The minute you get an infusion of masculinity in men, because see, they're not just attacking black men. They're attacking Hispanic men, white men, Asian men. And so the thing about these white folks, these white boys, they fighting back because see, they don't have that slave history that we have that tells us it's okay. And in fact, we are, as black men, we are probably the weak link. Now, if we would actually stand up and be men, we could really, as black men, make a change in America. If we stop allowing them to kick us, and if we got control of ourselves and our women, because see, our women are the ones now that are out teaching the rest of these women, not only just in America, but in the rest of the world, it's okay to be disrespectful to your man, put them down. They ain't really gonna do nothing anyway. You see what I'm saying? So we need to get ourselves together. And I'm just saying this, you know, and I say this, I love you brothers, but at a certain point, we are going to have to separate from or at least differentiate ourselves from black men who we don't want to be like and black men who we do want to be like. Now, I want to take this example, and me and a gentleman from Great Britain, he calls himself Hannibal here. We were talking about Deontay Wilder, okay, in the recent fight. I don't want to pile on the brother, okay, but there are some effeminate characteristics in that brother. It had nothing to do with the way he won or lost or whatever. It has to do with the way he carries himself and the way he conducts himself. And I see it oftentimes in many of the young rappers and many of the young football players and athletes, multimillionaires. They got all, but they can conduct themselves as though they have female coping mechanism. Shout out to Sean James. Appreciate you. Do you understand what I'm saying with that, Charles?
Yes.
I think a lot of that has to do with our culture, and our culture is derived apart. Is crafted by our religion. You see, and it's not even. It's the interpretation of the religion. Like when you emphasize, if you put too much sugar in your cake, it's gonna be too goddamn sweet. You emphasize the sugar too much, that's not good for you. If you put just around this, just a little bit of that, then okay, I can't just say, look, if you want to bake a cake, you need eggs, flour, sugar, vanilla, and an oven. And then give the instructions of how it needs to be put together, because then you don't get what you're supposed to get. You just get some goop that nobody can eat. That's kind of what they've taken the elements of Christianity and overemphasized some parts and underemphasized others and gave it to us. And we like, oh, this is what God says. Okay. And we read it and say, oh, we supposed to be slaves. Oh, we supposed to turn to, you understand what I mean when I say that, Charles? I mean, go ahead, because I want.
Yes, sir. The Bible calls it a leavening. It's how you change the Bible to fit your interpretation, okay, so that you could benefit from it. It's almost like it's like magic. That's all. It's like magic. It's how you change it. That's why you have certain elements of Christianity where the men believe that they should be pacifists, that they should take and endure a lot of punishment and abuse and and all that mess. It's all deceptive. That's not Christianity at all. It's just another form of It's another form of Christ, which the Bible foretold.
So I want to weigh out. I want to weigh out. We're gonna start with you, Charles. Go to Devin. I'm gonna go to Mr. Nice Guy. I want to weigh out. Okay, I look at some of these conquerors' religion, whether it's the Zulu religion, the Vikings. You can even look at some aspects of Islam. These people are not a conquered people. I don't care what they might have died off, they might have killed them, but they got a reputation. The reputation that we have right now is as a conquered people, and that we beg for everything we have, from affirmative action to welfare. We still beg them for reparations, and we ain't willing to go out and take it. We ain't willing to say we ain't going back to the military till y'all give us reparations. We're not paying taxes till y'all give us, not really to put anything on the line for it, but we just say y'all just give it to, not even willing to wield what power we do have in this country. No. Well, we don't want to risk the chance of any, heaven forbid, some harm come to us, some inconvenience. But so my thing is, what do we begin to do I mean, I love Jesus, the Jesus that I read about in the Bible. You know, I love that Jesus. I don't like the Jesus that they try to put off on us. What do we begin to do to dig our way out of this effeminate trap that they have black men in this country, which tells us it's not even acceptable for us to stand up for ourselves in our own house? Go. The answer. We need the answers, brother. Charles.
We need to stand up, and we need to define what a man is first, and then stand up against this entire system that's sitting on the top.
You right there because you said something really important. You said we
define
what a man is.
Yes.
Now, when you say we, are you asking black women to decide what a man is? No. White women? Okay. No, when you say we, who is we?
We meaning us men. One thing that most people don't understand is that men not only identify what a man is, but a man also identifies what a woman is. Mm-hmm. And see, we've given into feminist rhetoric, thinking that a woman can only defines a man. No, we give all definition from man. Woman comes from man.
All right, now I want to. This is when I go back to that interpretation of God, the Most High God, the All Father that the Vikings had. This is the characteristics of their God, right? This is who they pattern themselves after. Their God Odin, right? He was associated with wisdom, healing, death, something they weren't afraid of, because remember when you went to his hall, right? So it was a courageous thing if you must have died and went to royalty, the gallows, which is punishment, cut your head off, knowledge, war, battle, victory, sorcery, poetry, frenzy. Okay, now I know sorcery kind of hits my Christians the wrong way. Now these are, let me see if I can find Thor. Thor is not, well, we'll find Thor another day. But another god that they, Balder, which was Thor's brother, half brother, he was associated with goodness. All these were qualified. All of these were characteristics of manliness and manhood. What did they say? He was associated with goodness. Thor. I'm bringing this up, and I'm gonna get there for a reason. Okay, I'm gonna get you there in a minute. But my whole point is that their belief system and their gods told them what the quality of men should be. You understand? Whether it's Thor or Odin, Thor wielding his hammer, the protector of humanity, they were charged by their gods who they should be. You see what I'm saying? You understand? They made it real simple for you. This is what a man is. It's part of our religion. So if our culture tells us that your religion, or if our religion tells us, the religion and the culture that we worship tells us that being a man is turning the other cheek, being a man is being meek, but not in the sense meek meaning weak, right? Being submissive. If our culture tells you you're supposed to be subservient, then you see what kind of men we're gonna get.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, so what do we do? What do we do, Charles?
This we have to define it. Like you said, they originally defined manhood as honor and valor. Mm-hmm. You see, being honorable and having valor and controlling and being over the top of your families. Right. Well, this culture today is teaching the opposite. For man, they're redefining man as a male who upholds a matriarchal family, right? Which is upside down. Mm-hmm. That's what they're teaching right now in America, pretty much all over the world.
Anything that doesn't do that is considered toxic masculinity.
Bingo. We have to, and we have to embrace being what they call toxic. Mm-hmm. I don't care if they think we're toxic as men. They understand we wouldn't have gotten this far if it weren't for masculinity. Right. But they call it toxic right now because this culture, this society is ready to fall. This society is ready to fall because they're trying to matriculate in a matriarchal fashion, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work if you have a man as a face representing a woman that's in control. No society has ever worked or flourished like that.
So what do we do with our religion? And then we're gonna go to Devin. What do we do about a religion that an interpretation of a religion that pushes that on you? What do we do about it?
We have to push that. We have to push that plate away.
That's gonna
push
be
that plate away completely.
You can't get rid of your grandma's religion. You won't get invited back to the barbecue. Are you kidding?
Yes, sir. By grandma. By grandma.
Charles Merchant. Are you? What's wrong with it? You've been hanging out with Muslims too long or something. I don't know what you've been doing. You better get out of here with this, with that. If it was good enough for grandma and grandpa, it was good enough for us. Eat these pig feet. Be quiet. How you gonna fight with that, man?
Push that plate away. We gotta separate. You gotta separate the tares from the wheat. You gotta separate. But some people's gotta suffer to understand.
But in order for black men to do that, they're gonna have to have some integrity,
yes,
courage.
Yes.
You understand? And that is something that we don't have a whole lot of these days. You understand what I'm saying?
Correct, sir. What you do? You walked away. You walked away and you went up and away. Some people, some will ride with you, and others will be left behind. And we have to understand that people will be left behind. That's just the way this life is gonna work.
All right. Well, I would not impose what I do on other people because it's difficult, and most men can't do it. You know. But thank you so much, Mr. Charles Merchant. I appreciate you coming in and explaining that, because you definitely.
Thank you for having me, sir. Hey, I appreciate you, man. You're putting on a great show, Mr. Sperling.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Have a good day.
All right, Mr. Lockett.
Yes, sir.
What's the answer, man? What's the answer?
You know, man, on the religious tip, I don't know, man, because it seems like, you know, that community is over dominated by the matriarchy, right? Those preachers are preaching to those women. Now on the other side, we can take control of the other aspects of our culture. I think we can make it cool. We can make it cool to be a patriarch. We just have to take away the undue influence of our culture. And with what you're doing right now with the internet, right? With internet production, I'm a filmmaker, believe it or not. I did go to film school at LACC and Cal State LA, right? Oh. Shout out to Cal State LA, right? I want to start producing, narrative work, right? And I think it's through the subtleties of narrative work. We need to start depicting, the Huxtables and James on Good Times, man. I mean, we need to start actually coming up with characters that our children can look up to, of positive, dominant, black, male, heterosexual role models. We got to do it. We got to do it. And the other side.
Rogers is saying women aren't going to give up control. Brother, you're not. Here's the problem. You're right. Black women are not going to voluntarily give up control.
No, they don't voluntarily give up.
They're not going to. But if you had a drunk driver behind the seat of a car that was driving you into over a cliff, Clarence Rogers, would you just sit there and buckle up and pray that you survive? What action would you take, Clarence Rogers? See, sometimes as a man, you just have to act. The truth is, black women want you to take control of the black community. They're not going to tell you to take it. They're not going to tell you to do it, but they want you to take control of the situation. They can see that the black community is failing. They can see that they fail. They want you to take control. But just the woman is not going to tell you to do it. She's not going to tell you to do what you got to do to dethrone me and sit me down somewhere and make me be quiet. She's not going to tell you that. She's not going to tell you to hush me up. She's not going to do that. That goes against her own human interest to do that. But that is what she wants, and that is what she needs. She wants black, strong, masculine, assertive black men who are dominant to come back and take over the black community. They want that.
Des, I have a question.
Hold on 1 minute, brother. They want that. Now, I shouldn't have to tell you that, but I did. And so now you know. Go ahead and finish up, Devin, and we're gonna go to Mr. Nice Guy.
And you know what, brother? Truth be told, the white community wants that too.
Hell yeah.
The white community is looking for the
yes,
black
they
man to
do.
stand up. When your woman is twerking in the grocery store, they're looking at you, brother. They ain't looking at her shaking their head. They're looking at your weak ass. They're looking at your weak ass for not checking her.
You can't control it. You want to get her under control.
Yep.
Black women have become the enemy. Over the past 10 years, black women have become, they are now higher on the list than us, or at least even, or damn near there. Because what they're doing is their value system, and what they're doing is now corrupting all the rest of the women in America and around the world. These white women and these Asian women and Latino women see what black women are getting away with, and they're like, well, we can do that too. And so white boys are like, they got this thing out. They got this, what's that girl, Megan Thee Stallion, this little thing on TikTok. And it starts off with dance, throw your booty, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then it switches up. And there you go. Can't turn a wife into a, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't see this? Yep. Like you don't see this?
Yep.
They see the black American women as the Pied Piper. You understand what I'm saying? They see that and they like, and I actually did a show about this white woman. She had a little sauce in her. And she rolled up on this brother. He's about 300 pounds. And she said, you need to get those when are you black men going to get those black women under control?
I saw that video.
When are you, I mean, I'm just saying. She was at the Applebee's sipping at the Martina. When are you going to get them under control? Yeah, that's what's going on. They're out of control. But this is the monster that white supremacy racism made. And that's in it. They're overproducing children that are out of control, filling up the jails. These white folk don't feel safe. And so now they're like, well, we need to do something about this. These kids ain't no magic in this. These white folks don't have answers for everything. This is what they're dealing with. But go ahead, I'm gonna let you finish, and then we'll go to Mr. Nice. You guys appreciate what I'm doing. Contribute to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. Go ahead, Devin.
Nah, man, you're absolutely right, man. Spot on with this topic, man. Yeah. It's time for men to stand up, and you know, it's time for us to actually, I made a video just this past week that intensity of emotion is not equal to reason. And so many of us grow up in these single mother households where we are in fear of the intensity of our mother's emotion, especially negative emotions like anger. And so we grow up with the inability to deal with each other and to do business with each other on a rational, reasonable level. The only way we know how to deal with each other is to explode in anger and even pop and kill each other and do all of this silliness and foolishness because we don't have the contact with the father who introduces reason to the mind of the child. And this has to happen not only with one generation, like with you and with me and my son, but over many generations. Wow. It's a chain. It's a chain of rationality.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And Booker T says, Uncle D, you criticized my comment about we need to organize. This convo and your platform is actually a small start to the organization I'm talking about. No, brother. This platform is solely for you to organize yourself. You don't hear me on here start talking about starting committees. This is manly development here. That's all I'm doing. I am a pathfinder. I'm not a leader. I'm simply suggesting to you, brothers, that you need to figure out what type of men you're going to be. What is going to be your operating system? This is what I'm asking you, brothers, to do. I'm not asking you to go out and conquer the world right now. I'm asking you to conquer yourself. Figure out what type of man you're going to be. Then when you become the best man you can be, when you become a man that you need to be, then you get a family. Then you raise children. Start with that. But the vast majority of the development starts with you. That's where I'm at, man. I'm not trying to sell you some hotep dreams or pro-black foolishness. I want you to focus on being black men, with emphasis on the men, because you was born black. But being a man requires some masculinity and maturity and development and all these other characteristics that we've been talking about over the past year and a half since I've been here. This is thinking, hardworking, strong, dominant, courageous men. That's what I want you to be. Men. You see,
Give me strong men, and we can create a new nation. You can get women anywhere, but give me strong men, strong, dominant, masculine men who are thinking men, who are wise, who are willing to put it on the line for their strong held beliefs. Those are the type of men that I want around me. I don't talk to women on my page. It's no need for me to talk to women, because as long as I have enough strong men who are headed in the right direction, the women that we need will follow. Period. Exactly. Discipline also. You don't need to chase women if you're a strong, dominant, masculine man with a strong held belief system. The women, you don't need to tell black women what to do. Just go ahead and start doing what you're supposed to do as a man. And hell with what they talking about. They'll come along. That's what I'm saying. I don't even talk to y'all about dating, other than don't get one of these women who are gonna sidetrack you like Jada Pinkett did Will Smith. I tell you about that. There's plenty of women out there. Don't God first. Figure out what God wants you to do, and you do that. And the main part of him doing that is you got to be prepared. You have to prepare yourself to even do that task. You got to go into manhood training just to be able to prepare for the burdens that God has for you to do. That's where I'm at, man. But either way, thank you, Devin, and big shout out to Charles Merchant. Thank you so much for the super chat. He said, I'll support any man willing to stand against false Christianity and teaching us to be subservient to a fallen Nordic man. Yeah, appreciate that, bro. My man, Mr. Nice Guy, what are your thoughts, man? Closing thoughts on this thing, bro.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Well, in order for us to become men,
and Clarence Rogers said if she's gonna call it, she'll call the system on you. Well, you don't need that woman, brother. It's better to be alone and deal with a woman who's gonna call the system on you. That's what I'm telling you. You don't need her. You need God. If you become the best man you can be, I don't care how you become the best man you can be, it'll be a woman out there for you. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead and maybe not here in the United States, but somewhere else. Just be the best man you can be and live your life and figure out what God has for you, man. It's how it is. But go ahead, Mr. Nice Guy. I apologize again, sir.
No, you're good. As a matter of fact, I can sit here and listen to you all day. But I have several points, but I don't think we have enough time for them. But the thing is, we need to find out first who we are, beneath the surface, because a lot of us spend so much time morphing into what our families, what we're brought up to be. Mm-hmm. We hide behind Christianity. We hide behind the Bible. We hide behind our upbringing. But in private, around those who we trust most, only then do we reveal who and what we truly are.
Right.
So I think that's the first step to becoming a man is figuring out who you are and not, what you're not just what you brought up to be.
Yeah. Well, be what God wants you to be, man. And it starts with having a better understanding of the God that you believe in. If you're Christian, cool. But don't be some weak, soft, wimpy Christian. If the focus, if you say you're a follower of Christ, you should know about Christ. Don't come in here saying you're a Christian, but you haven't actually read all about Jesus Christ, because that's a powerful statement to make. I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ, but you don't know about Christ flipping over the tables. You don't know about Christ and who he's going to be back when he's sitting at the right hand of God in the end times. You don't know who that is. You don't know. How can you be a follower of somebody you don't know who they are? So if you're a true believer, be a true believer and follow that up with. You can't be a grown man and say, I'm a follower. You 35, 40 years. I expect that from teenagers and 20-year-olds. But at the point when you get 30, 35, 40, you 50, 60, 70 years old, know who you're talking about, and don't spread that weak, submissive stuff to everybody. And I'm not talking to you directly, Mr. Nice Guy. I'm just talking to you.
I know.
But go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, you're right. But in order for us to even know who Christ are, a lot of us don't even know what it means to be a man, let alone what it means to be a follower of Christ or lead a household. That's why you got so many women out here who are they're pretty much docile as far as their behavior, because they have no guidance. Their sons and daughters have no guidance. The men, a lot of the men that they're with, a lot of them who are with men have no guidance. So a lot of us don't even know what it means to be men. So how can we lead houses and lead communities when we don't know ourselves what it means to be men?
Now, who is
A lot of us have never
who
had
is-
to be men.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
you brought up a good point, and I don't want to leave that point. What is it that teaches you how to be a man when there are no men around?
That's that's kind of
Your
that's
culture.
yeah. Well, you know, that's
Your
a lot
culture
of guys.
teaches you how to do that, because there are a lot of young boys who grew up without fathers throughout history, throughout time, but there were other men in the community who knew how to be men because of the culture and what men do, what their role is. There were other men around, but if you're surrounded by men who grew up in the culture that didn't tell any of us how to be men, you see how that's stuck. You see where you at. And part of the culture, the culture is also your belief system, your religious system, if you want to call it, your spiritual system.
Exactly.
And so if your spiritual system tells you that men are supposed to be subservient, weak, and feminine, take everything lying down. You see what you're gonna end up with? This Black America 2021.
Well, that's exactly my point. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
When you go to any Black neighborhood or community, whatever you want to call it, what have you, when you look at the conditions of those communities, you see what kind of man or in those communities. A lot those aren't men; those are males. Because when you take the leaders out of the community, you get what you got today in 2021. You know what I'm saying? You don't have, there are no more men in those communities, because men lead. That's just a natural.
Even the men that were there were subjected to this same culture. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm telling you is, this was bound to happen. All right. Because the culture that we have as Black Americans is basically a survival culture. Anything to survive. We're not an African cultured people. We're not the typical American culture. We're survivalists, and we all descended from descendants of slaves. So it's basically a slave culture, a culture designed to help us survive, which is why
exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? So this is a situation that we're in, and we need to change that. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Look, if you guys appreciate what I'm doing, man, make sure you contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. I appreciate everybody for what you've done here. It's a complicated question, but it's easy to understand. If your belief system tells you that it is perfectly acceptable to be a subservient, weak, submissive man, i.e. your religion, belief system, then you probably will be. Unlike the ancient Norse, the Norse religion, which told them to go out and be conquerors and be warriors, the modern day interpretation of Christianity fed to Black Americans, specifically Black American men, tells us to be weak and subservient. And so what we need to do is begin to re-examine our belief system and understand that it is a large portion of the problem as to why we're where we are. If your men do not believe in protecting, your men do not believe in going out and conquer, your men are sitting around waiting for somebody to give them something, whether it's an NBA contract or a welfare check. If your men don't believe that they should go out and get it, they're waiting for somebody else from the dominant society to give them something, to make them rich, whether it's a lottery ticket or a job, instead of going out and creating it on their own. That says something about your belief system. It's defective. It's destined for failure, which is why we are what we are. We do not need to sit around and wait another 500 years for white Jesus to come and save us. He's not coming. Either we're going to save ourselves or we're going to perish. We're going to be overcome by another society which is more dominant. We're going to be overcome by another group of people which is more prolific and warrior-like, if that's a word that we can use. But the bottom line is, at some point, we as Black men have to analyze our belief system, starting with our interpretation of our religion. And we got to do something about it. But other than that, man, I appreciate you guys. This is Uncle D. I love you guys. And as I always say at this time, I'm out.